Timelang Absheni, Ralocha, Sanbanani, Mulweni. My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. John Marks, a 40-year-old man, has actually filed a civil rights lawsuit against the city of Manville, Texas, and its police officers. Now, Marks claims that he was forcibly arrested for sexually assaulting his white neighbor, Amanda, after a social gathering at his home in November 2023. Now, according to Marks, right, he and his friend Freddie Douglas both consensually engaged in a sexual activity with Amanda, and which is the activity she later accused them of forcing her into it, and an accusation that actually led to their arrest. But here's where the story takes a shocking turn, right? Marks insisted that the whole ordeal was a lie that could have been disproven by surveillance footage he had in his home. Now, the footage, according to the lawsuit, shows that Amanda arriving at Mark's home on that night with cupcakes, entering without any sign of distress, right, and willingly participating in the evening's activities. Now, the cameras even show her moving freely throughout the house with multiple opportunities to leave if she had felt threatened. But despite this, right, Marks was arrested on December 7th, 2023, based solely on Amanda's account. Now, his charges were aggravated sexual assault, kidnapping, right? And if you think about it, these are serious felonies that carry the potential for decades in prison. And yet, even after Mark informed the police of the existence of the footage, the officers allegedly ignored it, failing to review or include it in the investigation. Now, to make matters even worse, right, Marks claims that his arrest was accompanied by excessive force, and he was actually denied access to legal counsel, leaving him in a cold and uncomfortable cell for hours. So, you may ask yourself, right, why is this case so important? I think first because it reflects a horrifying pattern, which is that one that black men, specifically in America and indeed around the world, right, have been familiar with this for centuries. A black man is accused by a white woman, and the system, in many cases, jumps to conclusions based on historical racial stereotypes, which are stereotypes that can destroy lives. And this story, if you think about it, echoes back to the infamous case of Emmett Till, who was a 14-year-old black boy who was accused in Mississippi in the 1955 after a white woman forcibly accused him of assault. Now, that case was based on lies and ended in a tragic murder of an innocent child. But fast forward to 2024, and while we might think we've moved beyond these dark chapters in history, right, cases like John Marks and Freddie actually show that the fight for justice, especially for black men around the world, is actually far from over. Let's check this video out.
I was just like totally distraught, confused, afraid, and I'm not afraid of much.
In March, a grand jury declined to indict the two men. Mark says the key piece of evidence in the case was his home surveillance video that captured the entirety of the female neighbor's visit that night, showing that she was never in distress, something his attorney claims Manville police purposely ignored and even tried to leave out of their investigation.
Their very biased investigation that would have led another black man in jail or in prison for a false accusation involving sexual acts with a white woman, in which that woman lied about.
Mark says he is now dealing with psychological trauma from this entire ordeal. He tells ABC 13 he made the decision to file a federal civil rights lawsuit, partly to ensure that this never happens to another person of color in Manville. Douglas has also filed a separate lawsuit of his own.
But the message is bigger than me. It's bigger than Freddie. Nobody needs to go through this. Nobody.
Now, Mark's lawsuit highlights not just the failure of the police to actually properly investigate his case, but a systemic pattern of abuse within the Manville Police Department. I mean, his legal team argues that the police officers involved in his arrest actually mishandled the case at every turn, using their power to actually suppress the evidence that could have exonerated him. Apparently, even one of the officers is even accused of tampering with the surveillance footage, which is an action that, if proven true, could actually have destroyed vital evidence. But let's not forget the impact that this has had on Mark's life. And according to the lawsuit, the false arrest and the charges against him not only tarnished his reputation, but it has actually caused irreplaceable damage to his personal and professional relationship. I mean, it's hard to imagine the toll it takes on a person who their character is questioned in the media and their neighbors and friends turn away, believing accusations that have no basis in fact. I mean, Freddie, for example, had to be bailed out by his elderly mother and sell his house to pay legal bills after he was fired upon being charged with rape last December. And it raises the question, why are we still fighting against racial prejudice and the falsehoods that continue to haunt black men? From 2024 back to the days of Emmett Till, black men are still having to defend their life versus white tears. And this is a reminder that in many ways, right, not much has changed. And that is the harsh reality we still have to face today. And Marks is actually now seeking justice. He's suing Amanda for damages, and not just for false charges, but for the emotional and professional toll it has taken on him. I mean, his case is not just a fight for his own dignity, but a fight for every black man who has ever been unjustly accused and wrongfully imprisoned or seen their life turned upside down by a legal system that too often failed to protect them. Now, this case, as it moves through the courts, should remind us of two important things. First, the fight for civil rights is not over, especially for black people who continue to be victims of systemic racism. And second, that when we talk about justice, it must be real justice. Justice that takes into account the full truth. Justice that does not treat people based on the color of their skin or the accusation of their face. Now, that's it from me today. We want to hear from you though. It's not goodbye. Please, let's continue the conversation in the comment section. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me. Till we meet again, it is goodbye for now.